Hey there, I wanted to talk a little bit about growing valerian in the garden and share with you how I discovered it along with my method of harvesting, which you'll see in the video, my process of digging up, drying to the final step of how I make tea with them. But first you'll see how beautiful these flowers are. Lots of beneficial insects are attracted to these. You can see a little bee right here. He is collecting pollen. These flowers smell really, really pretty, and they are in shades of white and pink. But first, when you're harvesting the roots, it's probably a good idea to check in the area for other plants that maybe are not edible. I did dig up some hollyhock roots in the process of this when I was digging, and it concerned me because I wasn't sure if they were toxic or not. But I did a little research and found that all parts of the hollyhock are edible, including the petals, leaves, and the roots. So I don't intend on using them. It's just gives me a little more peace of mind knowing that if some roots of another nearby plant ended up in here, it would be safe. And when I'm digging up each one of these clumps, there are several plants in each one of these, so what I'm doing is taking care to separate them, at least saving one plant from each of these so that I can continue to grow for the following year. So like here's one right here, and I'm going to replant it. And then I also have to make sure that I am marking them. I just use a stake. This way I don't step on it. I know they're here. Because in the winter we're going to get snow. It's going to be hard to see where these plants are at, so I just mark them with stakes. So here I'm breaking these apart, and then I'm going to just save one off of these and replant. You can see a little shoot here. It's pretty healthy. You'll find that these roots have sort of a musky smell to them, and I guess some people don't like. I'm not really too bothered by them. Luna, she has to come over and smell. She's like, what's going on over here? Pretty sure she could smell it. She's so cute. She's always curious about what I'm doing out here. So another thing about valerian I thought was interesting is the name valerian comes from the Latin word valere, which means to be well. I've also learned that it has been used medicinally since the times of early Greek and Rome, and historically it was used to treat insomnia, migraine, fatigue, and stomach cramps, which I'm using the valerian more for the insomnia part of it. I do suffer with anxiety, Haven't noticed a huge difference in it yet, but it could be helping. I started drinking herbal teas to help me with my sleep, and I realized I was spending so much money on these teas that I started to just research what was on the actual packaging. And so the number one ingredient in this tea that I was buying a lot was passion flower. I did try growing passion flower and didn't have a huge success with that. So the next herb in that tea was valerian root, and it's been really good. I've had a lot of fun with this, and it's super fun growing your own teas and making them. I have lots of chamomile, which I've found to be super beneficial for getting a good night's sleep as well. Another ingredient in this tea was skullcap, and I did also get seeds for those, and they do come back every year. They're doing great. And then lavender also. But I find it's really fun to combine all these ingredients to make my own teas, and I can use more chamomile sometimes, or maybe I want to use a little bit more valerian root. I just kind of play with it a little bit until I find what works for me. And so now I'm on to the part where I'm just washing the roots, and I just put them in a bath of water just to remove some of the bigger debris, like some rocks or mulch, and so I can get more of the dirt out, because it gets pretty dense in these areas where it's hard to remove some of these. So I do that with the larger pieces, and then I'm putting it under the water, just a high pressure wash for a few seconds, and then I'm gonna lay them out to dry. Some of the roots are really fine, but these are going to work just as well. I use as much of the root as I can. Might be a little harder to pick through it. So here they are drying, and then I just leave them for a couple days. Actually, probably about a week. I lay them out to dry. That's about where I'm at now with this. And then cutting them into little pieces. I just use scissors for that. Works really well. So here's a batch of root that I collected last year, and that was the first year's roots, which I read later that you really want to wait till the second year, because that's when they're at their full maturity and potency. And then this jar was one that I actually bought from a supplier, and I find it interesting how different the roots look from the ones that I bought versus the ones that I made myself. So here is a jar of chamomile flowers that I also harvested, and I am making my tea. This is just how I do it, with a little strainer. I put in chamomile and then just a little bit of the root. And then I add hot water and just steep it for a few minutes, and that makes my tea. I hope that you enjoyed this video on my experience growing and harvesting valerian root, and that it inspires you to try making your own teas that are tailored to your own personal needs. Thank you for watching and have a great day.